Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 10th day of January. Got bombarded with breaking news this afternoon. We'll talk about after the break. Nick Saban suddenly retires. The legendary Nick Saban suddenly retire around 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern this afternoon. Caught us all by surprise, myself included. 30 minutes past the hour, I have a loyal Alabama fan. We were going to talk about the national championship and players opting out for the bowl games. Now I'm going to get Ken Norris's opinion on Nick Saban retire, get his take on that as well. And, of course, Pete Carroll suddenly fired also this afternoon. It's been one of the busiest days busiest weeks since I've done this program. You had a national championship on Monday. You've had multiple fires, including guys like Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll. We still haven't heard any clarity on Bill Belichick, the legendary coach out of New England. So it's one of the busiest weeks in the history of this program. So let me go ahead and take our first still only break. I'll be back here in 49 seconds. We'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Alrighty then. Okay, let's start with the biggest story probably of the week here. Nick Saban, who will be 73 on Halloween Day, born on October 31st, suddenly retired today. Like I said before the break, this happened. I had a whole different show planned. Still may be able to get on to some other topics. But when you have a legendary coach, this sudden retirement like this takes precedent. Okay. Again, retired today, coming up fresh off an SEC championship, overtime playoff loss to Michigan. And, like I said, it just caught everybody by surprise. So I got a few quick notes here from ESPN. Just completed his 17th season, which ended with the loss. Like I said, 17 seasons, won 201 games, tied with Vince Dooley of Georgia for second most wins at a single school in SEC history, behind only Bear Bryant, who won 232 in 25 seasons. Remember, only 17 for Nick Saban. Saban won more games in 17 seasons at Alabama than Crimson Tide won in 24 seasons between Bear Bryant's retirement and the hiring and Nick Saban's hiring at Alabama. So he won more between the 24 seasons between him and Bear Bryant in 17 seasons. That's how dominant his run has been in 28 years as a college coach. That includes 7 national championships, 6 with Alabama alone, 12 conference championships, 11 SEC championships, 1 MAC championship, 19 bowl wins. Saban never had a losing season. His worst seasons were 96 and 98 at Michigan State, where he finished at 500. In 28 years as a head coach, it included, like I said, 11 national championships. Okay, well, got that one. Finished his career total 292 wins, 71 losses, 1 tie, ranking him 6th all time, 12th NCAA college football history. Also coached in NFL. Defensive coordinator at Cleveland. We talked about that before with Bill Belichick from 91 to 94. Of course, he coached the Miami Dolphins where he's 15-17. Could not get Drew Brees there. He could not get Drew Brees there. That's what made him bolt back towards the NFL in 2006. I remember like it was yesterday. He was greeted like a rock star that he became. May have lasted just 2 seasons, but had 3 players selected in the first round of the 2023 NFL draft, which included number 1 overall pick Bryce Young. Nick Saban's had 49 players selected in the first round, including 44 at Alabama, the most of any coach in the common draft era. Alabama has won at least 10 games in 16 straight seasons, the longest streak by any program in the AP poll era since 1936. This despite playing 107 games against AP-ranked teams during Saban's tenure, 14 more than any other program. His 7 national championship wins between 98 are more than double of any other coach. Urban Meyer is next with 3, followed by Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney with 2. The Crimson Tide reached the college football playoff in 8 of 10 seasons. And now Alabama's odds have dropped from 6-1 to 8-1. And I'm sure everybody's hitting the transfer portal. I'm personally saddened by this. I am, what do you want to say? Selfishly, I'm bummed out about this. I think that somebody puts that kind of commitment into something, to puts that kind of product on the field year in and year out, day in and day out, that level of consistency in a world where you've got a lot of people who take shortcuts. They're born on third base. They're lazy. They cheat their rear ends off. I'm going to miss seeing the guy. I'm going to miss seeing that quality of work here out of a Nick Saban. I got a few Nick Saban soundbite quotes here. Here's one, this 52-second one on trying to become.
Choices, in our life, we can be bad.
Do you want to be good, bad? Do you want to be great? Do you want to be elite? This is Nick Saban. Listen up. It's a pretty good soundbite here. 52 seconds. Listen up.
Choices, in our life. We can be bad at what we do. We can be average at what we do. We can be good at what we do, which probably is God's expectation for whatever ability he gave us. Or we can be excellent, or we can be elite. All right? And everybody has a choice as to what they want to do and how they want to do that. But if you're going to be excellent or elite, you got to do special things. You have to have special intensity. You have to have special focus. You have to have a special commitment and drive and passion to do things at a high level and a high standard all the time. And it doesn't matter what God-given ability that you have. That probably can make you good. But without the rest of it, I'm not sure you ever get excellent or elite. And
yeah, good stuff there. Okay, here's another soundbite on being the best you can be, no matter what you are. Be the best at what you can be, no matter what task you're taking on. Good stuff here. Another Nick Saban. I can go on all night with Nick Saban quotes, but here's a good one I found this afternoon.
I say this to every team, and I give them this sermon every team in the beginning of the season, because I want them to relate to it. If you want to be happy for an hour, eat a steak. If you want to be happy for a day, go play golf. If you want to be happy for a week, go on a cruise. If you want to be happy for a month, go buy a new phone. But if you want to be happy in your life, just ask yourself one question. If I didn't show up here today, would anybody miss my ass? Because then you know you accomplished something of significance. And I always relate this back to if you could just be the best you can be. And I always relate this because this is said the best, and I'm paraphrasing this. Martin Luther King, this must have been 60, 70 years ago, gave a speech about the street sweepers. But he started out saying, there's a shoe shine guy in Montgomery, Alabama at the green stamp store who, the only guy I'll let shine my shoes. But the pride and performance that guy has is shining the shoes. And the great feeling he has when you tell him he did a good job. And he goes on to say, if you're going to be a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper in the world. Sweep the streets like Mike Landford did in the 16th chapter. Like Shakespeare wrote literature. Let him post a sign that says the best street sweeper in the world lives right here. Because if you do that, you accomplish the best there is in life, which is knowing you did your best to be the best you could be, no matter what you choose to do.
Good stuff there, Nick freaking Saban. He's not dead, he's just retiring. But, you know, when you got a guy of that caliber, always take everything he says to heart here, you know. A few other questions that you may be asking yourself about Nick Saban. Adam Schefter put this out, stat of the day. He even had the NFL guys tweeting about him. Nick Saban, Alabama had more players drafted in the first round, 44, than it had losses, 29 under Saban. Okay. Also wanted to go back and check who may be Pete Thamel, college football writer, pretty famous writer. With no likely replacements, Alabama. Here's a quick projected target list. Dan Lanning, he is the Oregon football coach. Kalen DeBoer, that's the Washington Husky football coach. Dabo Swinney. Now, Dabo Swinney was a former player of Alabama. He was a wide receiver. Do you want to be the guy that follows the guy, Pickles? If this person was unproven, I would not want that job. But Dabo Swinney's got 2 national championships with Clemson. Dabo Swinney would probably be the first guy I would put on my list. I don't know if I'll call him yet. I would put him on my list. He doesn't like this NIL stuff. Apparently, this stuff was bothering Saban more than he was letting on. Okay. I mentioned this a few years ago when he really had a fire lit under him when this name, image, and likeness stuff first took off a couple years ago, and Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, they got all those 7 or 8 5-star players. He's talking about buying players and all that, and how frustrated he was, and he did a back and forth with Jimbo Fisher. That was possibly the beginning of the end for Saban. But like I said before, on this program, he rebounded the next year. But this guy, his standards are high. He's Michael Jordan of this sport, you know. He had the number 2 class that year. The very next year in 22 and 23 per se, excuse me, he had the number 1 class, which was last year. Now this year coming in, recruiting hasn't ended. It ends in February next month. But the first recruiting period, recruiting period, he was second to Kirby Smart at Georgia. So he was still Jalen Monroe's back. I thought they would have probably been the favorite to win the national championship. I'm a 73 in October. I live here in Nashville. He's got a Mercedes-Benz dealership less than 5 miles from where I live at. I pass it all the time. I know it's his. There's no telling how much he's probably worth, probably $100 million plus, I would say. That doesn't count. I'm just going off his regular salary. That doesn't count endorsements, these businesses that he's on over the years. So, you know, he's not going to be hurting by no means. Supposedly, him and his wife, they took a trip to Florida after the season. They had this long talk, according to Chris Lowe, who's covered. He was talking on the Paul Feinbaum show today, who's covered the SEC for over 20 years. He used to cover the Vols here, Pickles, if you remember Chris Lowe. He's saying that, Saban, he had to talk with his wife, Terry, and it was that NIL stuff that is really, if you think about it, the NIL and the transfer stuff, Dabo Swinney, it's driving him crazy. I think a lot of these basketball coaches, Jay Wright, the great Jay Wright at Villanova, he was only 60, 62. I think he had plenty of years left. He's coming off 2 national championships in a very short period of time. He's retired. Roy Williams, Mike Krzyzewski, these are basketball guys that I thought may have had a few more years left. At 73, maybe he would go to his 80. Bobby Bowden, Joe Paterno, both coach in their 80s. But I think he's just, like Chris Lowe was saying, he only has one speed, 14 hours a day, nonstop, grind out, hustle. That's why he's got 7 national championships, more than anybody, including Bear Bryant there. He's still going to be realized as the greatest of all time, even though he does not have the all-time regular season wins record. I just read his amazing resume. Okay, so this is Pete Thamel's list here. Again, going back, Keelan DeBoer, that's the Washington Huskies coach. It was in the national championship on Monday. Mike Norvell from Florida State, undefeated regular season. James Franklin from Penn State has been mentioned. Marcus Freeman, he's way too young. That's the Notre Dame head coach here. Also throw in somebody else brought up some stuff to me. Maybe Dion or Kirby Smart or somebody like that. So it's Dion's not ready yet. Kirby Smart, Georgia would have to say something about that. They would match anything that Alabama could offer here. I would probably take a shot at somebody who likes this NIL stuff. I guess it would be Kirby Smart, somebody who's successful at it, somebody of that nature, or Dabo. Dabo is he finished strong at Clemson towards the end of the season, but you really don't want to be the guy who follows the guy, not unless you've already got a great reputation of winning a national championship. I'm not going to be at Mike Norvell taking this job because this is going to be a very, very high standard job. When you're following a legend like this, you better have a thick skin here. It's hard to follow Nick Saban, But, again, I'm going to have I got a couple more stories I want to touch on. I have Ken Norris come up here 30 minutes past the hour, which is about 12 minutes. Okay. So there was other news just before this broke down. Pete Carroll basically forced out at Seattle earlier. This happened around lunchtime. The Nick Saban stuff came out about 4 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central. Pete Carroll, he can stay on as an advisor. He's also in his 72 as well. Seattle, the exact same record as last year. They were 9-8. Of course, last year they did make the playoffs there with Geno Smith, and this year went 9-8. The Seahawks, and of course, they fired him. He's another defensive-minded head coach. They had better players. Remember all those draft picks that they had left over from the Russell Wilson trade here? I think I had some of them taken down here. Remember they drafted Devin Witherspoon with that Seattle, or with the Denver trade with Russell Wilson left over. Jason Smith, Najigma from Ohio State. Derek Hall, edge rusher from Auburn. That's in the second. Zach Charbonnet, running back out of UCLA, with Kenneth Walker. So that, and plus the draft before that, They got their 2 edge rushers, and they've got 2 offensive linemen here. So just really underachieved. They're probably a quarterback away, if you think about it. Plenty of skilled players, got the lines intact. But, he's a defensive guy, very simple offense there. And the powers to be in management wanted something different there. I thought he would be fired last year because I didn't think they would have that kind of season under Geno Smith. I thought they would probably pick in first or second overall. So they definitely need a quarterback, and they'll probably do something this year. Okay. I also made some notes. I mean, listen, they were swept by the Rams. Okay, the Rams had $70 million in dead cap this year, and the Rams swept them. Okay, the 49ers pretty much beat them decisively both times. It kind of feels like the Tennessee situation where Tennessee was swept by both Seattle or by both Houston and Indianapolis. Those programs seem, especially Houston, significantly better than the Titans. And I think that's part of what Amy Adams Strunk saw with the Tennessee Titans here. So I can understand where the powers to be at Seattle are coming from. Okay, so got about 9 minutes here. Going a little rapid fast here. Okay, so I'm going to rank from worst to first. Okay, the worst jobs available. There's 7 jobs. There's 7 NFL head coaching jobs. I'll rank the worst all the way up to the best. Okay, number 7 head coaching job available. This would be Carolina. David Tepper. I don't know if you saw this the other day. He threw a drink on a fan in the Jacksonville game when they were shut out. He fired. He fired Frank Wright less than 10 games into the season. He's seen as a micromanager. This team has problems on defense. They have no skilled players, and they have a quarterback who may very well be injury prone. This would be the worst job available. I would not work for David Tepper. I've worked for David Tepper's before. I would poison management. Yeah. This guy would be. Me and this guy would have words right off the bat. He can't buy a class. Money can't buy a class. He would not tell me what to do. I'll go work for minimum wage before I make a lot of money. And he degrading me like David Tepper seems to degrade. He seems like a worse version, temperament-wise, of a Daniel Snyder. So this is the worst job available that's on the market. Okay, number 6, the Raiders. Mark Davis. He seems more plausible to get along with, other than David Tepper. But this job is located in Vegas. There's already been numerous problems, including a woman burn up with the Henry Ruggs tragedy in Vegas. The players seem to be getting in a lot of off-the-field issue problems, not to mention Davis is being known to be erratic. He fired his coach in the middle of the season. They've had bad scouts there. They haven't really had anything consistent there since for 20 years, going back to 2002 there. It just seems there's no quarterback there. They have holes on their defense. They have a left tackle I like. They went and got Devontae Adams strictly to sell tickets here when they didn't really have a quarterback or a foundation there. He seems very just erratic. This organization hasn't been respectable since his dad had all his marbles there, and Mr. Davis, the father there. So that's number 6. I wouldn't want this Raider job. I'm sorry. And plus, they don't have a lot of capital, and they're not drafting very high. So this would be number 6. He's a little bit more plausible to deal with than a David Tepper here, okay? Alrighty then. Number 5. Now, Seattle. Listen, Seattle's got a lot of talent on there. I just mentioned all the high draft picks that all the team have hit, not just cornerback, offensive line, defensive line, a lot of young players under a rookie contract here. This Seattle team, here's my knock on, they're quarterback away essentially. Big knock on Seattle. Miss Allen, Paul Allen's sister, the co-creator of Microsoft, she said about a year ago that eventually, Al Davis Pickles, yeah, thank you. She said about a year ago that eventually we are going, these are her words, not mine, we are going to sell the Seattle Seahawks. So you don't know if you're going to get a Daniel Snyder type of owner, a Mark Davis type of owner. So that the uncertainty at ownership, the uncertainty there at ownership is another reason why I would put it at 5 and not higher. Okay. Okay. Number 4 here in Tennessee. Tennessee, they have the Titans. I mean, they got a potential franchise quarterback in Will Levis. They are second most in the NFL in cap room. Ron Carthon, I like the players that he has picked already. Last year, stand by there, Ken Norris. I'm going to bring up in just a second. You got to finish this segment. So anyways, Ron Carthon, the offensive line, the personnel that he's brought in, I've liked that. I like the location, Nashville. It's one of the more popular. They've already had a major draft here. It's one of the finer places to live at in the NFL, cost of living. They're going to get a dome here in a few years. Amy Adams Strunk, as much as people want to dog her out, she seems like she's able to work with. Only time she meddles is when she makes a decision. So number 4 would be the Tennessee Titan job. They have a defensive line. They have pieces on the defensive line. They have pieces on the offensive line. They have about $78 million in cap room. They have a top 10 pick. They have a top 10 pick in the second round. So it's definitely number 4. Number 3, Atlanta. Arthur Blank has a better offensive line. He is known as one of the better owners to work with. They have pieces on defense as well. They have skill players there. Drake London, Bijan Robertson there, Cal Pitts there. So left tackle, a Matthews family member that is left tackle. So they've got a dome team. Atlanta's a great town to live in. Arthur Blank, one of the best owners in the NFL. They're a quarterback away. They have the 8th pick overall. That quarterback could be available in April. So number 2, believe it or not, Washington, folks. They have the number 2 pick overall. They have the most money in the NFL salary cap. They have pieces, skill players under contract here. Terry McLaurin, for example. They have Brian Robertson, former Alabama player there on their team as well. So Josh Harris is supposed to be a very good owner. He owns the Philadelphia 76ers. They're a top 10 most valuable franchise in the NFL here. They came a long way in just a short period of time, getting away from Daniel Snyder. And of course, number 1, the Chargers. They've already got a franchise quarterback in place, Justin Herbert, Rashawn Slater, left tackle, Joey Bosa, edge rusher, 2 good wide receivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, not to mention players up and down the defense line and secondary here. Only thing about it, it's in California. You're going to get dogged on taxes, but the owner said he would match anything. Talks cheap. Let's see how that works out. But the fact is, Jim Harbaugh can win there right now. You know, Vrabel can win there right now, immediately. You take that job 5 years, get them to pay you $25 million. 12 of that will be take home. So switching gears, let's go back to the biggest story in the sports world. Nick Saban sudden retire, bringing on a big-time Alabama fan. Ken Norris returns to the program. Ken, I'm kind of bummed out myself, buddy. How are you taking this news? Nick Saban suddenly retired today, man.
Everything has to come to a close, Robert. Nick's put the statistics up. There's shadows out there wanting to come up now. You know, they couldn't do nothing because Nick has such a record that nobody can catch him. So now that he says, okay, I'm going to let it go, I'm going to let somebody step in. So,
yeah,
you know, I knew it was coming. I didn't think it would be this fast, but we've been through it before.
Yeah.
Alabama alumni, they already got their eyes on somebody. It's hush hush right now.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good prospects out there. They really are. You know, just like this Lanning guy, I really like him a lot. He's young, ambitious. He's got a good head on his shoulder, and he was taught by Nick Saban. So
nice.
You know, Nick's got a lot of guys out there that's not with Alabama, but they're Alabama alumni. They were taught by Alabama. They graduated Alabama.
Yeah.
They're out there doing their thing, putting their statistics on the board, which are really good.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we'll see where it goes out. I don't think we're going to go into no dilemma. Alabama's got a lot of money. You was just talking about NFL money. They can't match Alabama's money. Alabama's got a lot of money.
Yeah, I think Alabama would put up any amount. Now, a few years ago, you know, Dabo Swinney played wide receiver for Alabama. He had been mentioned as a successor to Nick Saban. He's already won a national championship, so he wouldn't be the guy who followed the guy because he's already got his own resume somewhere else. What do you think about Dabo Swinney, Clemson's head coach, being the next Alabama head coach?
It's a prospect. You know, I'm just going to put it like that. I'm going to define prospect. He's got good statistics, but I don't believe he's our guy. I really don't. I'm not degrading the man. He's a good coach.
Yeah.
But he's not Alabama material.
Okay.
I don't believe he is.
Do you what was your first reaction today? This didn't break till about 4:00 this afternoon. I was working on something totally different. This hit me like just a sack of bricks, man. I mean,
well, you know, when you asked me the other day if I want to talk about the Alabama game and the coaching and this year, my mind was set on to talk about Saban and him being the person he is and having to deal with the things he's dealing with.
Yeah.
I was already going to talk about him getting ready to give it up.
Oh, okay.
It's wearing on him. All this youth and the different way the youth is today, it's wearing on him. And, you know, he's 72 years old. He's 9 years older than me.
Right.
And, you know, there's a lot of things wearing on me at 63. So, I mean, I could just imagine what he goes through because his ethics is to help every player that comes to Alabama to play for him.
Yeah.
You know, regardless, when he brings a player into Alabama, he brings the athletic statistic in. He don't bring the person in. He don't know them until they get there. Yeah. And once he gets to know them, he has to work with them to make them the best that they can be.
Yeah.
And the youth of today, it's hard to do that with. It's really hard. We won't touch on that, but I believe it's a good time for Nick to leave. He's leaving with Alabama with a good record. The SEC championship, the national championship full runner. So he's leaving. He's leaving it with somebody that's going to have to step up to it to produce the same thing next year. So,
Right.
and you
Was it this NIL stuff and transfer portal that maybe fast forwarded his decision a few years ahead than maybe he might have wanted to do otherwise? Do you think?
Well, Robert, I know one thing. Nick Saban loves Alabama.
Yeah.
He's been there since what, 2007?
Yeah, 6, I believe. Yeah, 17 years.
Yeah, he's been there a long time. His heart's with Alabama. He's not going to leave Alabama hanging for no reason. He's going to be there in Alabama. He's got probably there's a lot of old money in Alabama.
Yeah.
Nick Saban's got more new money in Alabama than the old people's got old money.
I'm not surprised. You know, he owns a car dealership. I live by the airport here in Nashville. He owns that Mercedes-Benz dealership down the street from me.
He owns several Mercedes-Benz dealerships.
Yeah.
He probably, truth be told, owns half of Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
You know, he was one of the ones that gave Mercedes the rights in Tuscaloosa County to put their manufacturing plant there.
Okay.
I've worked at that plant many times and built many infrastructures on that property. And Mercedes, it's unique how they work. The GPS reads you're in Germany when you go on their property. It takes you right to Germany. You're on German ground. But anyway, Nick had a lot to do with that. Nick, he owns several businesses through Mercedes. But getting back on him in Alabama, Nick will not, and I believe this wholeheartedly, will not leave Alabama without being there to back who comes in.
Okay.
And I believe that Nick Saban will be off the record, but behind the scene. He will be there, but he will not be publicized at all.
Do you think the AD knew about this, Ken, ahead of time?
Say again?
Do you think the athletic director knew about this this as a sudden retirement?
I'm sure that Nick and him had talked about it.
Okay. Because it feels like this is a major surprise.
The thing that I see, Robert, is the way political business is in today's time.
Yeah.
He probably knew 2 years ago that this was happening this year.
Okay.
And they already know who's going to be there. Of course they do. They're too high up on the pole to not know. You know, this not like Nick saying, okay, I'm retiring. Let's see if we can find somebody. No, 2 years ago, he said in 24, I will not be the coach. And this is who's going to be the coach. So I believe wholeheartedly that they already know who's going to coach. Okay. That coach is going to be the coach, knew 2 years ago that he was going to be the coach. And they've been putting all this together. This Alabama, man, they stick together. Yeah. Like biscuits and honey, man. It's yeah.
Okay, so he's got 6 national championships. Do you have a favorite national championship moment during his tenure? I know mine, but I want to hear yours.
Well, being an Alabama fan,
yeah,
I like every one of them. But to talk about a favorite, Robert, Tua Tagovailoa, I really liked him at Alabama.
Was that the Georgia one? The first Georgia one? Okay.
Yeah, I really he impressed me with his agilics. what he could do with that football behind that line.
Yeah.
And he impressed the coaches. He impressed even his offensive line. And I mean, he even got respect out of Jalen Hurts. You know, it's he was that good, and that's I really liked him during his time at Alabama.
Yeah.
So I guess it would be that first national championship beating Georgia.
With Tua coming in at the second half and just making big throw after big throw.
Man, I'm talking about on the money. On the money. And when I say on the money, if you ever been on the football field, when you got two guys at your back breathing down your neck and that ball falls right in your arms, you don't have to go for it. You don't have to fight for it. It just falls right in place. And man, he's got an arm on him. He's doing the same thing with Miami. Miami's coming around with him to to protect him and let him do what he does. When you get in the NFL, things change a lot. It goes to a white collar political deal. But when you're in college, you're trying to get to those millions. And so I think by saying this about Saban leaving, the guys that are there now that won't be finishing under Saban, sees what they have done for Saban to go ahead and kick out. If Saban had I believe that if he had somebody there right now that he wanted to finish with, to push them on through, that he would stay around to do it. I really do. But the kids that he's got there today they got their own mindset. He's done what he can with them. He's taught them what he can, and I'm sure he's had great talks with them. He's had consultations with them to let them know that, hey, what I've taught you, carry it with you. You'll go somewhere. Coaches have a lot on them when they're trying to push guys to do their best they can do in life. That's what kind of coach Saban is. He loves all the players. He wants every one of them to prosper and to be successful. To be successful in what they do. So anyway, it was kind of a shock when I read your email about Saban.
Oh man!
Hold on a minute. I've had a busy day.
I was kind of sad. I was bummed out about it, man.
Well, no, I kind of laughed when I heard it from you, Robert. I said, I knew it was coming, but I didn't think it would be on Scope Night.
This was perfect setup for the interview. Now, let me tell you mine, see what you think about this. Now, it's year 3. It's 2009. Florida's a powerhouse team. Tim Tebow, Urban Meyer. Alabama loses year 2 to Tim Tebow. Urban Meyer, that was his second year. They were undefeated. They lost the SEC championship game that year. But Tim Tebow comes back. Florida brings all their starters back. 2009, that Alabama team is that much more hungrier. They beat Florida in the SEC championship game. Tim Tebow's crying on the sideline.
Yeah.
Urban Meyers had a heart attack that night. Then they go on to beat Texas for the national championship. Julio Jones, that's my favorite moment for Nick Saban in Alabama. The king is here, and Urban Meyer, he knew it. He's like, that little dude wants it more than I do, and I want it pretty bad. He didn't say that, but I was kind of getting that's what he was getting at.
I can't put out of my thoughts that you bring it into my thoughts, Julio Jones.
Julio.
He shined with Alabama,
didn't he?
When he went NFL, he didn't have the back that he had at Alabama.
No.
He had so much back at Alabama, he would impress you at the things he would do as a receiver. But when he got with Atlanta, he did good for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, something took a turn, and that's just NFL today.
Right.
Something took a turn, and I think he got hurt. And I've never seen him come back doing the things that he would do for Alabama. Man, he did some things you've never seen receivers do.
Yeah. He had many good
Alabama.
years with the Falcons. I mean, I played fantasy and big money fantasy games, and he'd get 8-10 catches a day and look like he was never breaking a sweat with Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
They almost won the Super Bowl in 2015. They should have won the Super Bowl in 2015. But Brady comes back, and we know what happened. They were up 28-3 and blew it. But he got his national championship with Nick Saban there, in that group at Alabama. I'm sure he'll be forever remembered in the Alabama.
Who was the running back that was with Alabama that was running the year that he was dadgummit?
I think it's Trent Richardson, but I may be mistaken.
Trent Richardson, that's his name. Yeah. That boy was phenomenal himself. He had moves that basketball players couldn't do. He would shake you, look you in the eyes, and make you fall to your knees, and he'd run right by you. It's there is coaches that go back and watch Trent Richardson's films.
Yeah. To
show running backs, this is what I want you to do. I want you to learn how to run like this. And it's your peripheral vision and knowing what's there and where it's going to go. Trent had a knack for it. And between him and Julio Jones, Alabama, I mean, if they could get two of them every year, I'm sorry, they might as well close college football out because Alabama would win every year.
Mark Ingram, the running back, Mark Ingram was on that team.
He was another good one.
I think he won the Heisman too. That was something.
Yeah, he did. He did. Mark Ingram. Yes, sir.
That was my favorite Alabama team. Obviously, the one a few years ago with Jerry Jeudy on it and Mac, even though that was a COVID year, I mean, they had Devontae Smith on the Heisman back in 2020. That was a good one. You know it?
Yeah, it was. It was. But going back to Richardson and Ingram and all of them.
Oh, man.
I've not seen that type of athlete in a while. I really haven't. That goes back to in the 70s and 80s in NFL. OJ and all them guys, man, they're running out there in the NFL, just like he had that commercial running through the airport.
Oh, I love those Hertz commercials.
Yeah. I mean, it was they were unstoppable. And there's a lot of those players in the NFL. I can't recall their names just because I haven't researched it or been in it.
Yeah.
But those running backs, I haven't seen a whole lot of them. Now that running back for Michigan,
that
little guy,
Corum, Blake
Corum,
Corum,
he's got something going. He's short of stature, but he has got that Mark Ingram move to him.
Yeah, he does. Don't he?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And there's somebody to be watched. Now, talking about Michigan.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that game? That was really the championship, if you think about it.
Yeah, and what I'm going to tell you is this is what sold me out on the game, and I never did voice this to anybody.
Yeah.
But when I seen on podcasts Michigan's workout with them in the weight room working out, I told myself right then, I said, nobody's going to beat Michigan. And that's what I told to myself. Now, I'm an Alabama fan, and I'm like, well, Nick Saban can pull rabbits out of his hat. So,
he can. Me too. That's what I thought.
And
there's an unsung hero to Alabama, and there always is.
All the football I've played in my life, Robert, it goes down to how much the players put in their workouts.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, Robert, is if you take it 100% and add 20 more percent to it in that workout room, in that weight room,
Yeah.
to do things that normal human beings can't do. When you get on that field, it's going to show.
Yeah.
And that's what we did in high school. We had such a workout. That's why we went number one, is because the workouts we had. We couldn't be stopped.
Competition, huh?
Competition. We couldn't be stopped. They knew one thing, that when you face that minor tiger, that those guys just come right out of the weight room on this field. They haven't been lounging around having a good meal today and resting.
Yeah.
They're pumped. They're ready. And and we treated each other in that weight room the same way. If we've seen somebody being a little weak, you know, we give them a blanket party. You know, we roped them up. We made them tough.
Yeah.
And we encouraged them, but we made them tough, you know, not to give up. And Michigan, man, when I seen their workout, I said, oh my gosh. I said, they look like a bunch of NFL bodybuilders. I mean, they were working out so hard that I haven't seen that in 30, 40 years like that. And I knew when I seen Alabama's workout compared to theirs, it's going to be hard to beat them boys.
Yeah.
I said,
but they had a chance to win anyways, though.
You might beat them in coaching.
Yeah.
But you're not going to beat them physically. And physical means a lot when you're on that football field.
Yeah.
It means a whole lot, especially when Alabama started giving that quarterback room to put that ball where you needed it.
Yeah.
That told me right there it's over with, because the defensive backs of Alabama was giving them too much room. And anyway, Alabama lost. Michigan come up with a victory and took it all the way to the house.
Yeah.
Champions. And I'm glad for them. You know, they keep.
I like Jim Harbaugh, man. He finally got a chance to beat the great Saban before he retired.
I don't believe he did it. I believe his players did it.
That's true. That's true.
They're the ones that was on the field, and they're the ones that put forth that extra effort and that weight room ability that and agility that they put together. Hardball, he's this team humbled him.
Yeah.
I believe it did. I believe this team right here humbled him to the fact that he sees that, well, I can only coach so much. I got to leave a lot of this up to my players. And he's seen that them players could come through.
Yeah.
And that's what Nick Saban teaches his players. He says, look, I can only teach you the format. He said, you're the one on the field. You're going to have faith to take it through. And
ain't that the truth?
It is.
So what's your take on these players sitting out for the bowl games? You mentioned that the other day.
Man, look here. Whatever's going on with that, you know, to back a team, to leave a team hanging like these players are doing.
Yeah.
NFL's going and talking to them saying, look, you're going to be a draft. If you get hurt, something's going to be. Look here. If they sugar in your blood, stand on the sideline.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the way I see it, Robert.
Yeah.
That's not right for a player to sit on the sideline after getting their team all the way to a playoff.
Right.
And then sitting on the sideline watching their team get slaughtered.
Yeah.
Man, look here. In the way that I was raised, Robert.
Yeah.
They would have got hurt on the sideline.
Right. Marvin Harrison did it. And I was surprised that he sit on the sideline like that, but he had too many people in his ear, I guess.
Too many what?
Marvin Harrison. I think he had too many people in his ear, agents and stuff.
Well, he would have had teammates in his face if it would have been back in my day.
Right.
I mean, it would have been a terrible situation because he would have been. What I say now, Robert, and the way I live my life.
Yeah.
You know one thing, the way I lived my life back then,
Yeah.
the guy wouldn't have been able to play ball the rest of his life because something would have happened to him. I'm saying,
well, if you play not to get hurt, it's like you're going to get hurt. So I don't know why they started doing that. If you have it in your mind, I'm trying not to get hurt.
Well,
that's the old adage, you're probably going to get hurt, right?
You see movies made about things like that, Robert.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you see movies made of football teams. There's movies out now where, you know, something's happened and the quarterback went bad and another quarterback had to step in but I'm just saying that there's movies made about things that will happen to people that do. If a player will do that to his team,
yeah,
that player will do that to anybody in his future life.
Yeah.
And people got to be able to read between the lines.
Right.
I mean, this guy's got a team that stuck together and played all year long, and this is going to be something they're going to live with for the rest of their life. This game that they are sitting on this sideline, letting their teams get slaughtered, they've got to live with that, Robert. It's like if you do something in life that nobody knows about but you and your creator.
Right.
You have to live with that the rest of your life. You'll never forget it. And until you come to a way to get rid of that trauma you live with, your life will be hurt because you'll even hurt yourself over it. And these guys that are doing this, in 10, 15 years, they're going to look back on this and they're just going to feel really bad.
That's true. I think so, man.
And I
believe they remember their college years more than they remember their pro years.
They're going to, the one thing about it, Robert, the guys that are in their ear as you speak, you know, you got a lot of people in their ear.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that need to be reprimanded.
Right.
For being able to, they should not even be able to talk to this guy until the season is totally over with.
Yeah.
They should not be able to talk to him. And if they do, they should be a penalty to that person.
Right.
To that person. You know, there's just like now, they're talking about these college kids getting all kind of money, big money, to drop back and to give them their signature that you're coming here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Robert, that's not right.
It's not, no.
That's the kid's not even out of college. He's not been given the right of way to get the plane up in the air yet. I mean, and then you're going to offer him money that he could retire on before he even gets there? No.
I think that's one of the reasons why Saban sped up this process, you know. I talked about before you got on the college basketball coaches, Jay Wright from Villanova. He was only 60, right in his prime, won 2 national championships, suddenly retires. Roy Williams. I think they're just tired of dealing with this crap, giving in to these 18-year-olds like this, you know?
Well, Robert, where wrong is it'll destroy whatever it's getting in.
Yeah.
And that's going to destroy college football.
Yeah.
They're going to have to rewrite those rules. They'll have to, because they'll find out a college kid can't play for a team this week and play for another team the next week.
Yeah.
And play for another team the next week. That cannot happen. That kid, and the thing about it is, whoever's doing this is ruining that young man.
Right.
They're ruining their future, and they don't care. It's all about money. It's all about getting you here, getting me up there in the spotlights, and wherever you go from there, they don't care.
Yeah.
And that's
I think they're working on guardrails. There was a rule that came out today where it's going to be like standards for payments and all that. And I was reading something with the NCAA, and they're trying to put on guardrails now, but it's the Wild West, and it's slowly turning into a civilization.
Robert, there you go, and being a professional co-host for talking about sports and everything.
Host, yeah.
You call it a guardrail.
Yeah.
Well, I call it evil because it shouldn't even be in there at all. They shouldn't even be nothing there to have a guardrail.
Yeah.
Because where there's something to be a guardrail, there's a truck that's going to be able to go through that guardrail.
Yeah, that's true.
I know it's true.
But these I'll have to push back a little bit. These NCAA games can't use these kids' likeness and not compensate them for it. These video games, they've been doing that for years. They should not be capitalizing on someone else's name, image, and likeness. You can't do that in other walks of life. You know, that's a lawsuit. Why should you be able to do it for collegiate athletes? So that's what the Supreme Court said, you know. So I have to push back a little bit. But
I'm thinking about the young man. I'm thinking about the player. The people, the people that's running the leagues and everything.
Right.
It's a job to them. It's not a dream that they're like the kid. It's a dream to them. You know, It's like, wow, look at what's happening to me. And then all of a sudden they get these big high dollar guys in there. Hey, if you'll come over here, this, and this. Yeah. And the kids living a dream, and they just to be honest with you, they screw their dream up.
Yeah.
And that's terrible, Robert, to see young men like that don't have no backing that somebody can get with them and say, don't go with that. Stick to your dream, your ambitions, your intuitions that you had when all this started. You know, when that high school coach came to you and said, look, you got a chance to go to college and to succeed from there.
Right.
If you'll put down the girls, if you'll put down the partying, if you'll open the books and get started, I'll see that your statistics get read by some of the best. And they do that. And then they get to college, and then you got these high backers of NFL coming in saying, hey, go talk to this guy. You know, and when you're getting into gambling, and that's what they're doing, they're gambling with their life.
That is true.
Guess what? You know, they don't know how to gamble. They're not Kenny Rogers. They don't know when to hold them. They know when to fold them. You know. Yeah. And they're taking advantage of them. It's sad to me. It really is. Because I'm a college football backer. I don't get into the NFL as much anymore.
Right.
I like football, period, whether it's NFL or college, but I am great in college football. I love it, but it's coming to a close. It is. It's getting to the point now a player can run the coach. The coach.
Yeah, I don't like that part of it. No. It's looking like the NBA a little bit. But man, thank you for coming on. I'm about 3 minutes over. You gonna be at church Sunday?
Well, you know I am.
I'll be there, my friend. I'll be there. Ken Norris, everybody. No relation to Chuck Norris, or Chuck Norris may be related to Ken Norris, right?
If he's lucky.
Hey, I'll tag you with this, and I'll send you an email, man. Thanks again.
You're welcome, Brother Robert, and I'll see you Sunday, and let's see where this is going to go.
Yes. Maybe we'll have some updates by then.
Roll Tide roll, baby.
Thank you, Ken.
See ya.
All right. Everybody, that was Ken Norris here. I'll be back on tomorrow with Mike Richmond. Mike knows everything there is to know about the history of the Washington Commanders / Redskins. I'm going to ask him about their coaching search. Again, I do think that the Washington Commanders job is the second most valuable job today. I would not have said this 5 years ago. It would have been one of the worst under Daniel Snyder. But the Washington Commanders job, with the amount of money, with the high draft picks, with Josh Harris being the ownership, that seems like the second best available job today, other than having a franchise quarterback and a loaded LA Charger roster. So going to have Mike Richmond return to the program. Looking forward to it. Tune in tomorrow. Of course, I'll be here 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. And, of course, he'll be in 30 minutes past the hour. Got a great crowd tonight. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, here on Sports Scope. Thank you, Pickles.